Lesson 8-5, Quadratic Equations, Differences of Squares. The product of a sum and a difference is the difference of two squares. And so if we have an example where it says a squared minus b squared, well, to do this, you have to have a plus b times a minus b, or a minus b times a plus b. And we'll see some examples here to kind of clear this up. So let's look at this first example where we are factoring the difference of squares. So you have two numbers, you have 16h squared minus 9a squared. So what you first want to do is you want to pull the square out. So for this, we could pull this out and make this 4h squared, because 4 squared is 16 and h squared is h squared, minus, then we can have 3a squared, because 3 squared is 9, and then a squared. Then, to kind of separate that down further, you can then separate those into difference of squares. So you could separate it and have 4h plus 3a times 4h minus 3a. And if you do the FOIL method and solve and simplify down, it will give you 16h squared minus 9a squared. So let's do that. So if we do first, we get 16h squared. Outer, we get negative 12ha. Inner, we get positive 12ha. So those cancel out. And then you get negative 9a squared. So you can see here that you have the 16h squared minus 9a squared. Pause the video to try a few examples. For the first example, you have 81 minus c squared. So you want to take the square of each number. 81 would be 9 squared minus c squared. So you put both of those in a difference of squares. So we have 9 plus c times 9 minus c to get your answer. Then we have 64g squared, which would be 8g squared minus h squared. And then you do your difference of squares and you have 8g plus h times 8g minus h. Now we're going to look at applying this technique more than once. So your first step is to pull out the squares. So in this case, we would write 25 squared minus x. Now this 4 actually gets squared, so it would be x squared squared. So when you write this out in your difference of square form, you would write 25 plus x squared times 25 minus x squared. So then what you need to do from there is you need to simplify it down into that form that I originally gave you. So now we're going to factor one of these out again. So let's leave the first one as 25 plus x squared, but we're going to factor out this second one. So this actually factors out to 5 squared minus x squared, and then you can factor that further to 25 plus x squared times 5 minus x, or times 5 plus x. So we're going to look at one more way to apply a different technique. We have 5x to the fifth minus 45x. So what you want to do here is you want to factor out the greatest common factor between the two. So we're going to factor out the 5x, which leaves us with x to the fourth minus 9. So now we leave that 5x and we start writing the x to the fourth minus 9 in the form of a squared minus b squared. So we actually write it x squared squared minus 3 squared. Now you can write this in a difference of squares. So we have 5x times x squared minus 3 times x squared plus 3. Pause the video to complete the lesson review. Make sure you show me this lesson review for verification of watching this video.